This is Noir Alley, and I'm your host, Eddie Muller. If your notion of film noir must include fedoras, swanky nightclubs, and slinky dames, now might be a good time to dive into one of those long-delayed household projects, like alphabetizing your spice rack. Sometimes in Noir Alley, I venture outside the lines, especially if it means showing something rare and exceptional in mid-20th century cinema. Today's film, The Strange One, released by Columbia Pictures in 1957, is one of those pictures. The story is set in a Southern military academy, and like many noir films, its antagonist is the lead character, in this case an alpha male cadet named Jaco de Paris, played by 27-year-old Ben Gazzara in his first film role. Jaco is a true noir villain. If he wore a suit and tie instead of a uniform, he could easily be a businessman, a gangster, or a politician. He is magnetic and charismatic and has a singular talent for manipulating people. He also has no remorse for the trauma and destruction he causes. Jaco is essentially a gang boss, despite, or because of, the structure and discipline at the academy where he holds sway. The writer of The Strange One, Calder Willingham, was drawing from personal experience. Born in Atlanta, he attended the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina, but dropped out to pursue a writing career in New York. During the 1940s, he was part of a fresh Manhattan literary scene that included Norman Mailer, Gore Vidal, James Jones, and Truman Capote. His breakout novel, published in 1947, was called End as a Man, and it was set in a fictional military academy much like the Citadel. The book stirred up a scandal when the New York Society for the Suppression of Vice brought obscenity charges against its publisher, Vanguard Press, claiming its homosexual content was an affront to public decency. The charges were dropped, but the scandal put its author on the literary map. Not long after, Willingham turned the novel into a stage play, specifically for the Actors Studio, which had been founded in 1947 as a combination school and workshop. It's famous, of course, as the mecca of method acting. Some of its most noted teachers and students included Elia Kazan, Lee Strasberg, Joanne Woodward, Marlon Brando, Lee Grant, and James Dean. One of the lesser-known but integral members of the studio was a jack-of-all-theater trades named Jack Garfein. He directed the Actors Studio's production of End as a Man, which became the first studio-produced play to actually have a Broadway run, featuring Gazzara. Eventually, rights to the novel and play were bought by producer Sam Spiegel, who in 1954 had his greatest success yet with On the Waterfront, directed by Kazan and co-starring Actors Studio members Brando, Eva Marie Saint, and Rod Steiger. Spiegel hoped Kazan would make End as a Man with James Dean as a follow-up to the actor's film debut, 1955's East of Eden. Kazan, however, saw it as a chance to give colleague Jack Garfein his big break, directing his first feature with a cast stocked top to bottom with members of the Actors Studio, most of them appearing in their first film, including George Peppard, who, like Gazzara, was just starting what would be a long career in film and television. Without Kazan, however, Columbia budgeted the project at only a fraction of what Spiegel had hoped for. It was shot on location in Florida, and it was a tense production, with Garfein constantly clashing with Spiegel, who insisted on being a hands-on producer. Garfein finally had enough of the interference and banned Spiegel from the set, a gutsy move for a first-time director, but one that would have serious repercussions on the fate of the film and Garfein's career. A lot of familiar faces are appearing on the big screen for the first time in this film, including Pat Hingle, Arthur Storch, and Jeffrey Horn, as well as the lone woman in the cast, singer Julie Wilson, who would become famous as the queen of New York cabaret. This is a provocative and disturbing film, one in which the homoerotic content isn't buried in the subtext. It's right there on the surface, which is brilliantly photographed by Columbia's great noir cameraman, Burnett Guffey. Here is Ben Gazzara in his movie debut, The Strange One.